Hi there. My name is Emma, and in today's video, we are going to look at 5 ways to improve academic essay writing. Okay? Or TOEFL writing, IELTS writing. This doesn't have to do with when you write a letter to your friends. Okay? We're talking specifically about formal writing, maybe business writing, or academic writing. Okay, so let's get started. My first tip on how to improve writing is do not use contractions. Okay? And again, this is for academic writing. So what is a contraction? Don't, can't, shouldn't, couldn't, wouldn't, isn't, haven't, hasn't. Okay, so it's the short form of, for example, don't is the contraction of do not. Okay? So it's better to actually write out the word in full in academic and formal business writing. So instead of don't, use do not. Instead of can't, use cannot. And notice how with do not, it's actually 2 words. Cannot is just 1 word. Shouldn't becomes should not. Couldn't becomes could not. Wouldn't, would not. Isn't, is not. Haven't, have not. Hasn't, has not. Okay. So don't use these, use these. Okay. So now let's look at tip number 2. So tip number 2 is avoid there is or there are. Okay? So why do we avoid there is or there are? Well, one of the reasons is when we write, we want to write our ideas clear and concise, meaning we don't want these long sentences. We want our sentences to be to the point. There are adds, extra words that are not needed. So let's look at some examples. A, there are many issues that students face at university. So that's an okay sentence, but if I wanted to make it a better sentence that is more appropriate for academic writing, I would change it. I'd get rid of there are, and I would say instead, students face many issues at university. So you don't need there is or there are. A second example, there are many development projects that the UN supports. Okay? Again, we don't need there are. We could just change it to the UN supports many development projects. By getting rid of there is and there are, your sentences become stronger and to the point. So tip number 3 is avoid words. So don't use words in academic writing such as really, very, a lot. I'm going to add another one. So. Okay? This weakens your writing. Your writing isn't as strong if you use these types of words. So let's look at some examples. Many students think university is very hard. Okay, so now we have very. How could I improve this sentence? Well, instead of using very hard, just use a stronger word in the first place. Say, many students think university is difficult. Okay? There are many cars, I just broke a rule, sorry. Many cars speed very fast. You could get rid of the very in that sentence, come up with a stronger word for it. So let's look at number B, sentence B. Bill 399 is really controversial. So again, in academic writing, avoid the usage of really. We could just say Bill 399 is controversial. The sentence sounds better. It sounds more formal. Okay. C. A lot of the students, I didn't finish this sentence. I could say a lot of the students live on campus. Now, instead of using a lot, we could use the word many students. So we use many if we can count the noun, if it's countable. So instead of using a lot, use many. Or if our noun is not countable, if it's a non-count noun, we can use much. Okay, so we get rid of a lot. So instead of a lot of the students, now we have many students. Many students face problems in their first year of university. Much time is wasted because of procrastination. Okay? So many and much are both words that are better to use than a lot. And again, the rule is avoid the usage of really, very, a lot, and so. So our fourth tip when it comes to academic writing is so if you are in the sciences, it's okay to use the passive. Don't use it too much, but it's okay and normal to use the passive voice. And I'll explain what that is in a second. But if you are studying humanities, social science, history, psychology, these types of subjects, do not use the passive voice. Use the active voice. So for most university writing, we use the active voice. So what is the passive voice and what is the active voice? So here is an example of the passive voice. Healthcare reforms were implemented by Obama. Okay, so notice first we have a form of the verb to be, and then we have the past participle of implement, in this case implemented, so you see an ed. And then oftentimes we have the word by someone. So this is an example of a passive voice sentence. Healthcare reforms were implemented by Obama. So what is the problem with using the passive voice? Well, it takes away the fact that Obama is the one who implemented the reforms. The sentence is sort of weak, a little bit awkward. It would be much better if we had the actor who is Obama, so the person, the verb, and the object. Obama implemented healthcare reforms. So this is the active voice. Okay, so if you can, have the subject, then the verb, then the object, instead of the passive voice. So here is another example of this. If I wrote in the passive voice, I would write, the war was, so here we have a form of the be verb, won, so here's the past participle of win, by, so another keyword, the French. The war was won by the French. So this is, again, a passive voice sentence. It's a passive sentence, but it's still a little bit weak. In academic writing, we want strong sentences. And a strong sentence has the actor, or the person performing the action, at the beginning of the sentence. So instead, a better sentence would be, the French won the war. So the final tip in this video is when you write academically, use strong verbs. Okay, so what is a strong verb? And what is a weak verb? So I'm going to give you an example. I could say, he gave assistance to my friend. Okay, this is a very weak way of saying, he gave assistance to my friend. In a stronger way, I could instead just say, he assisted my friend. So what is the difference between these two sentences? Well, in this sentence, assistance is a noun. So a better way to write this sentence, anytime you have a verb and a noun, and you look at the noun, and it could be its own verb, use this in a verbal form instead. So for example, he gave assistance should become he assisted. Okay, so this is stronger. Let's look at another example. So here I have a weak verb. made an objection. He made an objection. Okay? So again, we have a verb and then a noun, objection. But objection can be its own verb. So to make it stronger, we get rid of made and we turn objection into its verbal form, objected. He objected. So he objected is better than he made an objection. Okay? Another example. Here we have our example of the weak verb. She conducted an investigation. She conducted an investigation. Well, when I look here, I see the word investigation and I think, does this noun, have a verb form? Well, yes, it does. Investigate. So instead of saying conduct an investigation, she investigated something. It's a lot better. It's stronger. Okay, finally, for our fourth example, the weak verb is did an audit. They did an audit on Wesley Snipes. I don't know. Poor joke, maybe. They did an audit on someone. So again, I see the word audit. So here's a verb, and here's a noun. But I look at this noun and I think audit. Is there a verb form of the word audit? Yes, there is. Wesley Snipes was audited. But again, I told you not to use the passive, so I could say the government audited Wesley Snipes. Okay? So there you have it. 5 tips that will quickly improve your academic writing. So if you would like to practice some of these tips, come visit us at our website at www.ingvid.com. Until next time.